understanding the P&L statement. And I can empathize with this. I remember when I first started seeing these, it would just swim. You know, the numbers would swim, you'd have to draw lines and try to figure things out. There's nothing wrong with doing any of that. And the main thing I want to make sure everybody understands is this is a safe space. Please ask questions. There are no dumb questions. We've all been there. We've all been at the beginning. We've all been in the middle, you know. Well, most of us got in the middle, right? But it's important that you feel free to ask those questions that you need clarification on, right, when we go through these things. So I'm going to start with Tampa over here. Either one of you guys, let's start with the high points. Either you guys see anything that really stands out as a positive for us there?
You shocked me. One of the things that Joe and I were just kind of talking about as we were comparing, you know, Chicago side and Tampa side, is one big thing that jumps out is it seems like even though in some areas the money coming in is down, it seems like we're maximizing that more. You know, where it's like, it looks like we made a little less here, but the profit margin on it is still much higher than it was last year.
Okay. Do you have any specifics you can point out? When you say that efficiency improvement?
Here, like one I'm seeing, you know, for Chicago, it's showing our gross profit margin is 64.1 right now in the install department, whereas last year at the same time it was at 48.69.
That's a pretty nice improvement, isn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah, right on. Now, was there anything, now that's the gross margin, was there anything specific, Terry, that you see that led us to that number? What stands out to you being one of the key things that got us there?
Well, that's what I was talking about maximizing what we had. You know, so I mean, like, our costs directly above that are, you know, way higher number-wise, like price-wise. But if you look at, you know, the percentage of it, or the, you know, the value of it, 35.9 is still way down 51.53 from last year.
Sure.
So we're clearly maximizing our cost of goods and services versus what we're putting, you know, what we're doing, the work that we're doing in.
Maximizing the efficiency, for sure. Thanks, Terry. Joe, do you have anything to share?
No, I think Terry hit it on the head. Basically the same thing, a couple things stood out. You know, the direct cost was, you know, basically we went down a few points, but the numbers actually reflect better. Those are the things that really stood out to me, and also going, I struggle with these reports, so my apologies. Right? I don't really get them 100%. I'm still learning. I'm trying, but yeah, I wish I understood it better.
Joe, did you hear what I just said at the beginning? It's a safe space. You don't have to apologize.
Oh, yes.
All right? We're here to help.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So thinking about this, when we look at these, when we evaluate these numbers, when we look at these, looking at an improved gross margin is really awesome. That's something that we can really hang our hat on as a big success. But how did that happen? What were the specifics that got us there? All right? So who in this room, who's got something to share? What are the high points they found? Go for it, John.
So on the last page, while the cost did increase, the percentage that it took to get those costs down was 15 points less than it was this time last year.
Which are you talking about, the big five?
The big five.
Mhm.
So if you see last year at this time, they're 81.73. Currently, we're at 66.12
Overall?
overall.
Right.
So I think that had a huge impact on our.
For sure. All right, who else? Who else saw something good? A lot of good news in this report. I hope we're good.
Well, just kind of to tag along on what you were saying about it, if you look at specifically at the inside line, a lot of our costs, like almost every cost is up for the actual dollar, like Terry was saying. The percentage is lower than it is for total volume, which runs, like on commission, yeah, commission rate is higher than last year, but it's almost half of what the percentage of the total is, 15.49 of it to 18.3.
So I hear you correctly saying the dollars are more, but the percentage is lower.
Yes.
Right, the dollars paid.
Yeah.
Right. Right. What else? Matt?
Same with the parts and materials, in almost all divisions, it's gone down as a percentage.
For sure. Yeah. Matt?
So a couple things with those. Why would the big five be so much smaller as a percentage of sales? Like than it was last year.
Big sales.
Sales are higher. Yeah, they're a lot higher, right? And some of those are fairly stagnant, where some of them you don't need as much to produce more. What else might be happening? people, yeah. Not just the right amount, but the right people, more efficient, that kind of stuff, better metrics.
Nice. Cool, so what else? Anybody else see any high points there that they wanna share?
HVAC sales, $2 million higher than last year.
Right on.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Joe?
They cut that on the drain tax from a year ago, it's dropped down 17%.
You talking about the labor rate?
Yeah, the wages.
The wage
Part
rate.
of overtime and all that we're doing. So dropping 17% a year is pretty high.
They dropped 17% or 17 points?
17 points, sorry.
Yeah. So how do we get there? How does that happen? Sorry, Matt.
So something to point out with drain tax, that a big part of that is because it's broken out, so you gotta add up the tax, the sales, the leads, and the prices.
Still 30 revenues from last year.
Yeah, it's still less, I'm sure, but.
It is a little less, but it's only a couple of points less,
Some-
which is good. We don't wanna make that sound negative, but we changed how we break out those categories. So if you look at the first 6 or 7 lines of labor, add up them, and then compare them over.
So that's the first thing that's really important to know, those little changes that are being made along the way. Like I remember when plumbing and sewer were one and then sewer split out. Now all of a sudden those numbers look kind of odd, it looks different. And you have to sort of, things normalize a little bit, or you have to apply some calculations to see where it really should be or where it is.
This is the first time we've had good margin in sewers in many months, so I think it was a big.
Very nice. Congratulations, Joe. That's right. Dave Seeger.
Installed labor is over 3 points down.
Pretty awesome, right? Yeah, a lot of hard work by you guys and others, right? Making it happen. Cool. What else did we see? A lot of good news in there.
Our costs are down also.
Parts costs are down. Yeah. Are we paying less for the parts?
No,
We're paying more for the parts.
no, but we're targeting it.
We're charging the right price, right? We're getting the work done efficiently. What else?
Well, actually, plumbing, I know that area did a lot of renegotiating. They got prices down.
Sure.
So some of their prices down, some of it's prices
I
down.
would venture to say it's mostly prices have gone up. In some cases, we might have been able to negotiate down, but even if we did, it's going right back up anyway eventually. You know what I mean? It's not gonna go real far. We have been able to achieve some efficiencies because of our buying power, with buying materials and things like that. But like everything else in the world, it just goes up day after day. We know that.
I think there's a second part to that, that, isn't super obvious, and that's inventory control's been a lot better. And so we're not having big hits on a monthly basis, they're much smaller now.
Yeah, so some of you were around at the time or heard the story, but not too long ago, was it last year when we had that big bomb hit us at the end of the year, right? 22. So poor inventory control really put us into a place where we thought we were heading a direction, and turned out there was a big landmine for us at the end of the year that was not pleasant to find.
Well, and even last year, even though we were doing it monthly, so we knew each month, we didn't have the best controls in place. It took us all year to get there on the trucks and on everything, so.
And with the 2 months that we're in now, we're seeing better results with having a lot of you guys, doing site accounts and being involved and addressing situations a lot quicker, when we see an issue, so that helps.
Right on. So as I said, there's a lot of good news. Okay, sorry, here you go.
I just want to mention that we all remember the craziness of the weather last month. Obviously, the sales went up. We did a great job on controlling all the costs. That's cool stuff.
Very much, yeah, across the board. Across the board, the planning and the strategies really worked out for us during that busy season, that busy part of the season, I should say. And we really maximized that efficiency, made the revenue, didn't spend a whole lot to do it. So, big time, big time. All right, so like I said, there's a lot of good news in this report. We don't want to get too complacent though when we see that good news, because there's always avenues and areas that we can improve on those. But that being said, is there anything that stands out as a negative, as something that needs some attention from us?
Gross margin and service.
Is that John?
Gross margin and service.
Okay. How do we attack that?
So far, we've been working overtime, making sure the right techs at the right call, updating batting orders. What else?
Focusing on production rather than just overtime hours.
There you go. Have they actually be productive with the time you spend it?
Exactly.
HVAC service?
Yeah, service.
What do you think is what's the factor there? So the parts are up as a percentage of sales, correct? Right, is that what you're saying? Okay.
5%.
So how do we offset that? Buy cheaper parts makes it work, so we get a better deal on parts, but that's a challenge.
Price. And making sure it's how we're working on the accounting, we're very, very closely on all those divisions and with the warehouse and everything, so.
Sure.
I think it's gonna, I think we're starting to.
Okay.
Yeah, and with us putting in, new systems to, I'm gonna call them safeguards, you know, we're finding a lot of issues, things that we've done in the past we went away from before my time, and now that we're redoing them, where we're not just letting text go, they get what they want, they're gonna get what they asked for, but we're gonna know what it is and what job they want to, so a lot more of those safeguards.
Cool, and all those are good, but I'm hearing something that's missed there. One of the key things that's missed there. How do we improve that? The thing I'm thinking of is gonna improve labor rate, it's gonna improve parts percentage, all those things.
What's that?
What's that?
Insta? Having Insta?
Oh, in stock? No. That's not what I'm looking for. After training, what happens? They get better. Effective training. Effective training, not just training, right? We see those results then, when we get people into a better place and they serve our customers better. That means more revenue is generated, that offsets the cost of parts, offsets the cost of the labor. Okay, what else? Anybody else see anything that's a challenge on that? An area of opportunity for us?
I don't know if it's a major thing, but I noticed that we're kind of behind on the document, but.
Tell me more about that behind the button.
So the dollars that we brought in for duct cleaning at this point of the year last year were much higher.
Okay.
And I know we have 3 duct cleaning trucks or something.
Why, thinking about January, John, why do you think that might be the case?
Because duct cleaning is not important, but people need heat.
It's important, but we have to prioritize, right? If we're taking care of customers without heat, that's gonna rise to the top. I think in a lot of cases, and we did have some challenges with trucks, but we'll back to speed on those now.
John, I would invite you to also look at the dollars that we're looking at here. So we had an $8 million month, and that's $7,000. So is that really worth our attention? Probably not, right? Probably not.
Yeah, we have to meet our obligations, but it's not the highest priority for sure. Cool, what else? Anybody else see any areas of opportunity in there?
Club sales, Lucy, club agreements.
Club agreements?
Yeah.
Okay, what are you seeing?
Usually we go a lot more dollars. I'm just looking at the agency issue, not that everybody, but, that was one area that where the dollars went up, the points went down.
So you're talking about the club revenue?
The sales, yeah, the revenue, new agreements.
Okay.
That revenue, yeah.
So
11.2 to 7.15.
So clubs are, that's talking about the revenue that's realized from the recurring revenue, I believe, correct, Matt? That's club sales, right? So that recurring revenue is applied to HVAC. So that's something that
Right, so
is controlled, it's not,
well, then it's like, why, so it's a more controlled amount.
it's based on how many of the units we do.
Got it.
But the good part there is look at how many more dollars are there than a year ago. And that's climbs every single month, right? That's really cool, because a year from now, it'll grow by a similar number.
That indicates more members.
It indicates more members, which gives us the opportunity to sell all that other stuff.
All right, what else? Any question's a good question, don't hold back. What else, did anybody see any areas of opportunity? I haven't heard much up here, come on, plumbers. You guys are usually pretty vocal. Is everything all good? No challenges? Anybody? All right. Matt, is there anything specifically you want to bring up? All right, cool. So, we're gonna move on to another exercise here. So when we look at these P&Ls, this tells us the cumulative totals of what we're doing, right? Let's just see what the real results are. This is the actual. In years past, when I've dealt with comfort consultants, and they see their numbers, you know, and the service techs are the same. they're always like, that's wrong, I know that's wrong, I've done this and I've done that, and there's something off there, right? The thing to remember is the things that we're looking at on a daily basis, when we're keeping track of our numbers, it's kind of like a speedometer in the car. You may or may not know, the speedometer in your car is not 100% accurate. If you went through a speed trap that's used to really measure accurate speed, it's gonna be 3, 4, maybe even 5 miles an hour off. But that's a guideline. It helps keep us at the speed we wanna be at, right? By watching that speedometer, even though we know it's not 100% accurate. That accurate measurement of that speed is like the P&L. That's the final, once everything's been audited, it all comes down, it's there. So because we do flat rate pricing, we rely on the fact that our people in the field are using the right pricing, charging the right price for the jobs that they do. That's a big part of getting us to where we need to be. So what are the key things that we control? Thinking about the field managers, what are the key things that we can control when it comes to these direct costs? I guess let's back up just a minute. Who can define direct versus indirect costs for me, real quick? Come on, shut. Direct versus indirect. Glad we're doing this today. Sorry, right up. Harry, you the man.
Direct costs are the things that we pay directly out for, the materials, labor, the people. Indirect costs are gonna be things like gas in the truck, insurance, the lights in the building, anything that's not directly related to the job that we're doing.
Perfect. Right on. The direct costs are, sorry?
I was just saying good job, Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
One on the
nailed
other.
it.
You did, you nailed it. Yeah, perfect, thanks, Terry, appreciate it. Direct costs are the specific cost to do the job, indirect is everything else around it. Okay? So when we think about those direct costs, as field managers, what's the key areas of that we can control? Am I gonna keep calling on Terry? Oh, I'll watch that, thank you.
Labor?
Labor, yeah, that's a big one, right? That's one of the key controllables for us. What else, as field managers, what else do we have under our control? Labor's a big one, for sure.
Making sure that all parts used on the job are entered.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, and making sure that they're charging for the parts that they're using, right?
Yeah, so if they didn't sell the service, but they used the part, or they didn't enter the task code for the service, and they used the part, there's a problem there, clearly. Brian?
Making sure that the techs are keeping their trucks clean, so they're not damaging parts in the bag, and that they can be more efficient, because it's not just a bunch of crap loose in the bag.
Yeah, reduce the shrinkage, right, reduce the loss, for sure.
Making sure that the trucks are stocked appropriately.
Yeah. So, labor, parts, and materials are the key things that field managers have the most control over, that has the biggest impact on our gross margin. So we're gonna take a move now into our next exercise. Let me ask Ken if you wouldn't mind move over here with Debbie and Jose. We're gonna put the office folks here together on that side. A little bit of a difference with the office compared to the field. In the field, we deal with all those direct costs. In the office, it's more dealing with overhead, but they still have an opportunity to affect some controls on that as well. So, Mike and Harry are gonna hand out some sheets. So, like I talked about, when we look at that P&L, we see those numbers, that's the final done deal number. At that point, it's impossible to change things. It's impossible to change our course. It's already set in stone. But what you're getting handed out to you right now are job costing sheets. This lets us look at individual jobs, and then in turn, individual tasks, and see how they perform on an individual job. So I'm gonna offer you a few minutes here to take a look at one of those sheets. Some of you may have gotten more than one, but just pick one is fine. So it tells you what department that's from. What I'm gonna ask you to do here in a moment is calculate a couple of things. I'm gonna ask you to calculate the labor rate on that job. What's the percentage of labor for that work that you got in front of you? And then what is the percentage of parts for that job in front of you? Okay? Labor and the parts. Now this is an individual exercise, but I'm gonna allow some table talk on this one. If you have somebody at your table who can help you out a little bit, go ahead and do that and see what you can come up with. What questions do you have for me? All right, go ahead and dig in.